Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Happy. I work for ABN Impact. I'm based in Jakarta, Indonesia, while Neil right now is sitting in our office in Thailand. Before we start, actually, I would like to introduce the research itself. That this piece of research we've done is basically in Indonesia, and it has been done in 2015. And the main question that we try to answer in brand understand the needs of Muslim women in Southeast Asia. And this presentation only covers Indonesia, but the work has been done in Malaysia and Thailand. When we're talking about the brain itself, before we go into the presentation itself, human brain does not think in words. In fact, we are thinking visually. We see concepts in our brain, not words. And emotion is something that humans feel, not think about. Thus, we see that research should be done more visually as opposed to verbal questions. Next, please. And for this, Indonesia is a good example, where our main language, Bahasa Indonesia, is rather dry when it comes to expressing feelings, emotions, explicit responses, and other aspects that we were able to capture here was local culture. We'll talk about it later. Next one. For this research, we are using visual cards as stimulus and tools to assist consumer in expressing their thoughts and feelings. Next. We found beauty in Indonesia has attention to balance the goals to feel smart and confident with those of being authentic to themselves, to others, and their role in society. In Indonesia, women want to be seen as smart. See the card of a lady with a book on the corner, top corner, but they don't want to be scientist smart, but smart enough to be able to connect with other people. And they want to have a feel of a bit of different, a bit special. You can see the butterfly card, which is a symbol of change. And beauty should not be seen as a serious thing. It has to have an element of fun. If you can see the card with two jumping girls. And as a woman, they need to be able to care for others because this is the role that they assume. And beauty can be sexy in the right situation with the right person. For instance, a husband. Next, please. So what we saw, all this is referring to internal beauty. That is the most important than external, because they believe that internal beauty is everlasting. Next, please. We mentioned that we capture an element of local culture. This card has been chosen across groups and most common card in each and every group that we done. So what does this card mean? Indonesian women want to be or feel different. However, still within context, the card shows a brown egg in the middle of white eggs. At the end, they are still eggs. Next, please. So they wanted to feel, a bit different, but not totally change themselves. Thus, for them, makeup is adding a bit of color, a bit of flavor, but they're still the same person. No physical change. No plastic surgeries, definitely. Next, please. Therefore, for them, the underlying element of beauty is the natural beauty, the beauty that they need to nurture. Next, please. And is by taking care of their internal beauty with healthy consumptions. Next, please. And how does brands talking about beauty? Neil will take you through the next section. Please take it away, Neil.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about how different brands are talking about beauty in Indonesia. So just to give some context, this work was done in June last year. And we just took a little bit of a snapshot of some of the advertising that was on TV at the time we were doing the work, and a mixture of kind of Western or international brands and also some sort of local Indonesian brands, to see the sort of tone of voice and the topics and themes that they talked about in relation to beauty. And there are a number of things that came out, but kind of summarized quite well in this slide, where we see sort of two kind of key dimensions of difference in the themes that we saw in the advertising. So as Happy's mentioned, there's a consistent theme of sort of your natural beauty versus the sort of color that you add to yourself, and that's sort of the left to right axis here. It's the sort of natural versus the artificial, in inverted commas, aspects of beauty. And she also mentioned the sort of being smart but not being a scientist. So you'll see in the sort of bottom to top axis, we've got the sort of the dimension of going from science, sort of more clinical aspects of beauty, to the softer, lighter, more heartfelt aspects of beauty in the top of the picture. Now, of course, as you might expect, a lot of the cosmetic brands, which I should say, are in the bottom right of this picture, and quite a few of the sort of body care, body wash brands are in the top left. But overriding that, there's definitely a theme we saw was that a lot of international brands tend to be in the bottom half of this chart. And in particular, you can see the Maybelline and Pond's and Garnier and Pantene tend to, in tone, talk in a quite serious, quite scientific way about beauty. They talk about the ingredients that are in their products. They talk about how those ingredients can change the skin, the people who use them, and they have quite a serious tonality. If we move to the top of this chart, though, you'll see Citra, Sariayu, Wardah. These are local Indonesian brands, and they tend to have a much lighter and less serious tone of voice. Lux is quite interesting as well as a brand because it's a kind of, its positioning is as a seducer brand, and they have a very, very local feel in the way they talk. But maybe I want to point out Wardah, which is quite interesting and relatively successful local brand over the last few years. Now they have quite a diverse product range, which is why you see them in multiple positions on this map. But the two in the right top quadrant are different cosmetic products that they have. And so I remember it's eyeliner and lipstick. And what you see in their communication style is to say it's very light-hearted, and it's about Indonesian women having fun, essentially, adding some color to themselves. So you could sum it up as talking about the fun of glamming up. And it seems to strike the right chord with local women. They've been very successful, but it also, I think, matches what we found in terms of what women say about how they want to feel about beauty. So, can I go back one slide? Sorry about that. So to sum up, sort of five key things that we found, which I think are big lessons for marketers who want to advertise and talk about beauty in Indonesia. Beauty is definitely about heart as well as science, or art as well as science. it should be less serious and more light-hearted. There's a fun element to beauty as well, which I think many international brands tend to forget in Asia. Beauty is most definitely not just about me. We all know the "because I'm worth it" strapline, but that's not the only international brand, I think, that focuses very much on the individual. And what we see, particularly in the Indonesian context, is that fitting in, being part of a group, not standing out too much, is actually more important than being the one person in the room that everyone notices. Inner beauty is important, so not just about physical appearance, and that's important to convey as well. And that one thing that people often get wrong as well is that for Muslim women, being sexy is not a bad thing. It's all about context. So portraying sexy beauty can be very effective, but it has to be done in the right context. So with that, I'm pretty much finished, but I wanted to just leave you with one picture, one slide. So we as you've seen, we asked the ladies we talked to in Jakarta to bring some imagery that represented beauty for them. And one lady, rather than bringing images, brought these drawings that she made. And this was a Muslim wearing a hijab. And you can see essentially how she sees the beauty and the different roles that she has as a person living in Indonesia. So she's talking about her faith, she's talking about heart, which is about having fun, she's talking about her role as a mother, she's talking about being smart, but she also, and was very clear that there were circumstances with her husband when she also needed to be a Barbie doll and have that kind of beauty. So thank you for listening, and look forward to any questions.